I believe at a certain age, people should be tested to see whether they should be allowed to continue driving. I don't think, because everybody's different. There shouldn't be like a once you hit 60, you're done. Because some 60-year-olds shouldn't be on the road, but other 60-year-olds would be fine on the road.
I don't think you necessarily have to put an age limit on when somebody should stop driving, but I feel like if there's any type of health issues or things that can seriously injure other people, I think that that's something to really consider. That would not fly here. I know that just because of where we live. But I think it's hard to put an age. It's kind of like putting an age on a lot of other things that you're making a generalization of people, and that doesn't always work for the majority of the population. But I feel like that should be something left up to somebody's doctor to really say, hey, if they're a risk to other people around them, yeah, they probably shouldn't be driving.
I don't think it should be a certain age. I think it should actually be determined on if that person is capable of driving or not.
I don't think people should be required to stop driving, but I think maybe once you hit a certain age that you should maybe take another test to see if you should be still driving and be on the road. But no, because I have grandparents that are in their 80s and they are perfectly fine being on the road, but I know other 80-year-olds who probably shouldn't be on the road, so it just depends. But yeah.
Sexual orientation, well, like biblically and biologically, it's determined. This is how reproduction works. Like that's how it works. But so yeah, the way that you are wired to reproduce is determined at birth, whether you're a guy or a girl. But when you're looking at that, like when you're kind of asking, when it comes to this whole idea of homosexuality, I believe that people are born struggling with different sins, but just because maybe you're born struggling with this doesn't justify it. Like if somebody struggles with lust in general, does that make it okay for them to sleep around with whoever they want? Same case for somebody that struggles with homosexuality. Just because they struggle with homosexuality, does that justify it? Even just because that's what they struggle with. So
I would say that's something that somebody chooses, because Scripture is very clear that we're all made in the image of God, and that He made us male and female, and He made us different for a reason. And in that, I feel like our culture tells a lot of people to choose to do what you feel like you are or what you want to be, and that's sin. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's us choosing that, not something that we're born or that we were made that way. A lot of people use that argument, but that's contrary to what Scripture tells us.
I think it would be something that someone chooses, and the reason is because according to like genetics and all kinds of stuff, it would have already been weeded out a long time ago.
Gender that they choose depends on kind of things that happened to them as a child, whether there was trauma from a parent or someone dying even, or I don't know, but that trauma can affect you in the way that you want to be loved and that type of thing. And so I think that it's something that you choose, actually.
I don't think it should be mandatory. I mean, that's our freedom. Like that's our freedom of speech. It's our freedom to decide who we want in office. And if we want to capitalize on that freedom, we can. But if we don't want to, take advantage of what we're being given, that's also part of our freedom.
I don't think it necessarily has to be mandatory, but Scripture is clear where it tells us that we are to support and listen to our leader, governmental official, I guess, type thing in that. And I feel like if we really want to have a voice as a church for standing up for things that we believe, if the government is doing something contrary to what we do believe as believers, the only way we're going to do that is if we vote and exercise our right in that. So I really feel like it's a judgment call on the individual person, but I feel like for the most part, I mean, if we really want to have a voice, we're going to have to vote.
I don't think it should be mandatory, and the reasoning is because if you have to vote, then you might have to be voting for something that you go against. I think most people should vote, but the fact that you would have to vote would kind of demean the part of democracy.
I don't think so, because it would force people to vote for someone that maybe they're not educated at all on who to vote for, and so they're just going to check a name that means nothing to them, or maybe that they've heard on the news or something, which isn't always the best thing. So I would say no.
I don't believe they should. When you look at the way that God set up the family in the beginning, he said, man should leave his family, become one with his wife, and he should be the head of the household. He should be this, and over and over it's repeated that the man and the woman, the husband and wife, the man, the woman, the husband and wife, and that is how God continuously models the family throughout Scripture. And if we believe homosexuality is a sin, do we want to put children in an environment where, everybody struggles with something, but a lifestyle of sin? Is that where we want to place our a child in? Same thing when it comes, if you're looking at it from a heterosexual, sin, whereas would we want to put a kid in a family who they are like addicted to pornography and they are they're sleeping around with other people? Would we want to put them in a family whose lifestyle is sin? I don't believe so.
I would say no, because that's not a family unit. I mean, I know a lot of people would probably disagree and say that it is. But again, Scripture's clear. A family makes up a mom and a dad, a husband and a wife, and not two males or two females, because that's not normal. That's just not a traditional biblical family unit. And I feel like if you bring a child in that they don't really know what it is that they believe, and you just automatically throw them into a household where they have two moms or two dads, I feel like that's a lot. That's opening a lot of things for trouble and just a lot of other issues that could end up coming about.
That's a tough one, but I'm gonna say no, and the reasoning is because I believe that children need both a mom and a dad, and it's very important for them to see both sides of really what it looks like in life.
This is actually a question I've thought about before because my husband and I want to adopt. And I don't really have, I don't know yet what I really think, because I want children to be loved and taken care of, and there's so many kids who don't have a parent. And I feel like a child is going to do better if they have a parent, but I don't know the dynamics of a homosexual family and how that's going to work, and so I don't know. I don't have a real opinion on that one.
In Ecclesiastes, it says you should not die before your time. And I really don't believe, and every time that suicide is mentioned in the Bible, it is never, ever, it is never in a good light. Judas killed himself. We see, when Saul's armor bearer fell on his sword, and I think that's right. And then it's just all these things. Every time that somebody takes their own life, or somebody, assisted suicide in the Bible, it's always in a negative. It's never viewed in good light. And I don't believe that it should be legalized, because Scripture says, "Don't die before your time." People don't see it in the moment. They have reason to live, and that's where the gospel comes in and all that.
I would say no, but that's just my personal opinion on that. I feel like anytime we try to legalize something, we're talking about taking somebody's life, we're trying to play God, and He doesn't give us that choice. We don't get the choice to choose when it's our last day or our last breath on this earth. I mean, we're going to know if somebody, let's say for instance, somebody has cancer and they decide they don't want to take the treatment for it. I mean, we all know we're going to die. That's a little bit different, where this is specifically saying, hey, guess what? We're going to end your life if you're okay with that. And, I mean, we can't play God. He doesn't give us that right or that option. So
No, and the reasoning is because if you have life, I believe God's given you a gift, and I think that gift should not just be taken.
I don't think so, because if we legalize assisted suicide, then it's kind of giving the okay for suicide, and that I don't know, that you're not valuing life, and so I don't think that we should do that.